Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here for another Queen Sugar review. I am actually up early but late with this video. I typically do Queen Sugar videos the night of. They come on Tuesdays on OWN at 8 a.m. I actually had a prior obligation that I had to do, so everything kind of ran behind. The next showing of it was going to be on at 11 p.m. But you guys know Miss Honey has an issue with her sleep right now, so I was knocked out and up at 2 a.m. So here I am at 6:38 a.m. to do this review. Okay, enough about me, right? Season 6, episode 2. Something about dreaming. You guys go back and look at my Twisted Life of Poetry's review for Queen Sugar, season 6, episode 1. She actually looked up the titles of the Queen Sugar season 6 shows, right? Each show episode has a different title, and the title is lines from a poem or lines from a reading, right? So that's why they're kind of odd, but the poem, I guess, is the theme for this season. So that's the whole thing, right? I only bring it up because it seems like there was kind of a lot of thought put into the in the titling of this season. Uh, this isn't our old Queen Sugar, and I know that I said that I wasn't gonna pick at the scabs because I was just so grateful to have content during the Panacea. But you guys, is it me? Is it I? Or does this episode seem rushed? I mean, even last episode seemed rushed. It seemed, I don't know. Maybe it's not rushed. Maybe it's just, it doesn't seem as thoughtfully done as episodes have been done in the past. It doesn't. It doesn't. But we're gonna get into it. It may just be me. But I would love to hear what your thoughts are down below. Um, I don't want to pick it apart because I am really grateful for the content. I'm really grateful for the actors and the writers and the efforts that they put into bringing this show back to us in the middle of a panacea. But I don't know. I just think it could have been done better. I think last episode could have been done better as well. But anyway, 3 minutes on my belly aching. But let's just get into this episode. Everyone except Charlie is at the hospital. This is the day right after Prosper has fallen to the ground and or been pushed or had this small scuttlebutt, whatever it was, with this police officer, and ended up falling and smashing his head. And everyone's at the hospital. Everyone's gathered around. Now, we're not going to pick at the fact that we know that everyone can't come to the hospital right now because of the panacea, right? We're not going to get into all of that, but this is what it is. And so Vi, who is Prosper's really good friend, is there, and she comes out and she just lets everyone know the status of what's going on. Basically, he's in a medically induced coma because he's got swelling on his brain, and um, they're hoping that the swelling will go down. Billy, Prosper's daughter, has been notified and she is supposed to be en route. Um, we do get to see Billy come in, suitcase in hand, straight from the airport. And she is pissed off. I would be pissed off too. Um, to a certain extent, I would be pissed off. Like, just the anxiety of my dad being in the hospital and me not being there and me not having protected him, being there to protect him. I'm sure Billy is feeling all of this. And, these anxieties, these fears, they show up through this whole episode. I mean, she's coming across as a real B, but I think she's just afraid. I think she's guilty, and I think she's ashamed that all of these people are here for your daddy and you weren't. She wants to know why he was down there, which I said the same thing. He's an old man, and he did want to help. I just don't understand why he was doing what he was doing. I really don't get it. I feel like him wanting to help, registering people is one thing. Keeping ice on the water, I don't know. He could have been helping Hollywood unload the car. Ain't Vi pass out. Like, I just didn't understand why he was on the front line haggling with these idiots, right? So she says all that, and she didn't understand why he was there. And Aunt Vi was like, he wanted to be there and he wanted to help. Nova comes in and seconds that. She's like, he's very involved with his community and he wanted to participate. Fact of the matter is, Nova, like, you put together really kind of a ish show. Like, I don't. Anyway, we see where Charlie is being. So Billy, who wasn't there for her father, um, comes in with her paperwork, baby. She came down there with all her powers of attorneys and things, you know what I'm saying? In that frenzy, you grabbed all your paperwork, your file that said, I'm in charge of my daddy and everything about my daddy. You was able to grab that and get down there. You ain't got no time, but you got paperwork. That's fine. Basically, she shuts everyone out. Shuts everyone out. I'm the one you talk to about it. No, you're not to talk to anyone else about what's going on with my dad but me. I was like, everybody goes on about their way. Aunt Vi's gonna stay there. We see where Charlie is being courted by the black leaders to run for higher office outside of St. Joe. They ask her, they give her accolades and just tell her that they've had their eye on her for a while, and they also tell her to let them know if she has any skeletons in her closet, that they want to know about it ahead of time. They also want to get permission from her to shop her name around, and they leave her their card with her. We see where Billy is managing her guilt and shame, and it goes too far. We also see where Vi, who loves Prosper, and she's so quick to try to set Billy straight that she ices herself and the Bordelons out of Prosper's care. Aunt Vi it didn't need to be that way. I mean, the girl obviously is feeling some type of way because her daddy's in the hospital, and probably because she wasn't there for him. You know what I'm saying? That's a tremendous amount of guilt. And Charlie kind of confirms it when she comes in later. She kind of confirms the whole situation. Okay? Aunt Vi didn't want Charlie to know. She didn't want her trip to be interrupted. But Micah going through his own ish, dealing with um, how the police did him, how the police did Prosper. It just brought all that PTSD back up to the surface. Even the fact that the police officers are so blatantly disrespectful around the hospital brought up all of this PTSD. He ended up calling his mom. He was like, I just want to see how your trip was going. But she knew, and he told her. And she was like, I'm going to be on the first thing smoking to St. Joe. And he was like, nah. I'll keep you abreast. She was like, I'm on my way. And so when she does get there, she does have this opportunity to talk. She thinks she's just going to walk in and see Prosper. And Billy, who greeted her at the door, the hospital door, very warmly, very kindly, at the room door, very warmly, very kindly. And they kind of laughed and that type of thing. And she was like, yeah, I just wanted to go in and see Prosper and just check on him. You know, I just got back from LA and I just heard. And she was like, yeah, I kind of had to cut you guys off. The Bordelons office just and let me handle my father's care. It's just too much going on right now. And I just want to keep everything calm. And she was like, well, what does that mean? And she was like, yeah, Aunt Vi, you know what I'm saying, thinks she the boss of me. She thinks she the boss of my daddy. And no, she's not gonna do that. And you know, I just wanna focus on my dad's care. And so Charlie took a deep breath and was like, looked back over at her shoulder at Prosper, and she just felt like this is the moment I need to tell my story about how my daddy died and how I wasn't there and how I was trying to control Ish at home, manage Ish at home instead of being at my daddy's bedside. And I missed his last moments. I regret that. And she said, so I know how you feel, and I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you don't have that experience either. But also, if you love him, you'll do what he wants. He loves the Bordelons. He loves us. He loves St. Joe. And the best way for you to ease his mind and make sure you're doing what he would want you to do is that you're doing things in love is do what you know he would want you to do, which is he would never want you to ice Aunt Vi out, you know. Just relinquish a little bit of that control. And she said, you know, I'm here if you need anything at all, you let me know. So that was a good moment, but Aunt Vi did not take that opportunity. Aunt Vi was on one of these right here. This right here don't move nothing. If anything, it just makes people madder. It just makes them more defensive. It makes them feel like I can show you better than I can tell you. Right? I don't know when Vi's going to learn this, but I think it's coming. I think it's coming, and I think it's probably going to take losing Hollywood or almost losing Hollywood for her to see it. Right? But we're going to talk about that. So, Aunt Vi called Nova right away. Evidently, Nova and Billy were friends as in high school. They're around the same age, I'm assuming. So, Aunt Vi called Nova and told her what was going on with Billy and told her, you know, she needed to talk to her. And Nova was like, yeah, I will. Now, in the middle of talking to Aunt Vi, you know, her phone was cutting out like... Okay. So, like I said, Micah's in like this PTSD, haze, fog type situation. And he's sitting out, I don't know, in a park, in a quad, somewhere like that. And a guy walks up with books and coffee. And Micah's just in such a daze, and the guy's like talking. He notices Micah's just kind of like, and he's calling his name from like this really far away sounding place. And finally, Micah comes to himself and he's like, hey, dude, where were you, right? Okay, let's just talk about this moment here. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, is it me, or is Queen Sugar getting heavily fair skinned? Is it me? Am I the only one? Like, I know New Orleans is full of Creoles. Um, I get that. I really do. It's just from the time this show was um, on, from season 1, episode 1, we saw textures. We saw depths of color and ranges of color. And I'm just noticing the introduction of a lot of fairer skinned um, black people. Y'all, it's just, let me know if it's just me. Does anyone else notice this or not? Like, you guys still feel like it's balanced, or like what are your thoughts in this whole situation? Cause I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I pointed this out because the guy that sat down next to him was extremely fair skinned, like extremely fair skinned. So that was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was like the conversation between he and Micah was weird. It was slightly intimate. Uh it just seemed like they had a chemistry, a little energy for each other. That's it. Just you guys tell me what you think. Put it down below. I was like, I don't understand what's happening here. And the guy, Micah said it happened to me, and the guy was like, really? It's like, yeah. Well, they were talking about the guy knew what happened at the vaccine drive, and Michael was like, yeah, they beat him. I was like, I did not see the part where they beat him, but okay, all right. And then Micah says it happened to me, and the guy was like, really? He's like, yeah. And I don't know. It's like, you're not alone. The guy said you're not alone. All this stuff. I don't know. It was weird. It was just a weird scene. It was a very odd scene for me. It wasn't. That was after that. It was when he called Charlie. I feel like the episode is disconnected, and therefore my review is disconnected. You get what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so like I said, Nova, who is talking to like one of her constituents or one of the people that she's working with, she's got more static on the line, and she's frightened. She's like, let me call you back from another line, because I don't trust this line. The heat is being turned up in social media. There's this whole Council Nova Bordelon culture that's going on. That was trending, which is just weird. And she's looking out the window. She's just like, what I'm saying, she's, I don't, let me call you back. I don't trust this line. I was just like, it's the police. It's the police. This is what they do, girl. This is what they do. They have all the resources in the world to harass the ish out of you, to follow you, to bug your home. Like, I mean, you gotta know from Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all of these people that you gotta stay on top of your game when you dealing with the police and the government, period, right? Like, you need to search your home. You need to make sure your home isn't bugged. That's probably what's causing the static. You know what I mean? And it goes without saying that your phone calls and your text messages can be yanked. I think they have to have a court order to listen in on your phone calls. But I mean, maybe they don't have to have it. You know what I'm saying? It's just you that they messing with. It's not like they messing with some lily white person out in the suburbs. Girl, I just don't understand. I don't understand how you been in this activism game, and your suspicious conspiracy nature isn't on high alert at all times. Like, for real. For real, for real. Like, you should be checking under your car for bombs at this point. You don't go full force against the police and think you just able to matriculate around this world without. Come on, Nova. Come on, Nova. I don't understand this. And are you not talking to Calvin at all? Is Calvin locked up? I mean, what is happening? This was the love of your life. You had his daughter living in your home. You're not visiting him in jail. You don't want to visit him in jail. We're not gonna have this conversation. We just gonna move on from Calvin. I just don't know. And I wasn't a fan of Nova and Calvin. I just don't understand why we in this weird drop off place where we're just not even gonna ever have the conversation again. I mean, he was a friggin' police officer. He should be able to tell you what to look out for. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching. Why aren't you talking to Charlie? Why aren't you talking to Charlie? It's a very disconnected episode. Charlie's back in town, but we don't see any conversation between Charlie and Nova. And Nova is afraid. Nova is scared. You know what I'm saying? She got her eyes bucking and she looking and all of this crazy stuff. Diatribe. Anyway, Darla and Ralph Angel go to get their sonogram. They're having a girl. She wants a home birth because the hospital seems stretched to the limit. She's been eating a lot of beignets, but she wants to start to eat healthy. And another scene, like, beautifully shot, but it had no meat. It had no meat. Like, later on when Ralph Angel comes into the kitchen, it was like a school play. It was like a school play of Death of a Salesman. It was weird. And she was supposed to be cooking. She had all this food on the table, but she's sending him out to get pills, but she's still cooking. Like, I just don't understand. This No conversation about the bills, how they're going to move forward, all of this stuff. We used to just have so much more conversation, fruitful conversation. It just seems like every conversation in this episode is forced. Even from the cop, swiping Micah and telling him to get back. When he's leaned over on the bench talking on the phone, get back. And Mike, and that sends Micah into this PTSD tizzy. Like, I was just like, it's forced. Just like the Confederate flags and the white people saying racial bias, and then the police coming and telling, it was just also forced. It's just, Hollywood is prepping for the news. They are coming to do a story down at the Real Spot to highlight people who are getting back in the swing of things after COVID. He's pretty excited about it. Vi is supposed to be there. He considers Vi like his lucky charm. He also invites Micah to come down and check it out. It was a very successful event. We got to see how he had decorated a little bit. He's got a room called the War Room where men get together and they discuss their concerns, their issues. They bring their arts, right? And then it's discussed. And he's got a chair that he has saved especially for Prosper, for when Prosper gets home from the hospital. Okay. Michael comes down, takes some pictures. Everybody's there but Vi, right? Vi saw him off when he was getting ready to go down and prepare for the interview. And she's going over to do this secret drop off again. She's taking some sundries and stuff this time. And when she gets there, it is just like one of my subscribers said last week that she had read that Paula J. Parker White, one of them, was supposed to be on the episode. And when she said that, I thought, okay, this is what it is. She is, Paula J. White is an abused woman. And y'all know Aunt Vi was abused. And so she is there to basically, she's in this hotel hiding from her abusive husband. It was Paris. Paris says, found out that Paula J. Parker is new to the fold this season. Vi is taking her under her wing. That's who Vi left the bag of food for. And yeah, that's what it is. Paula J. Parker is playing a woman who's on the run from an abusive husband. She's got her son with her, and Vi is taking care of her. What I don't understand is why Vi isn't talking to Hollywood about this. Why is it a secret? Is it because the man lives in St. Joe? Is it because the man lives in St. Thomas, like a parish right around there? Like, why doesn't she trust Hollywood with this information? I strongly and firmly believe that anything that could cause harm to your family or indirectly affect your family, you should just be upfront about it. Because eventually it's going to come to this place where you're going to have to tell them. And hopefully you don't have to tell them moments before they need to get their guns locked and loaded and be waiting on the front line. Hopefully you don't put your husband in a situation where he's getting mollywopped from the back by a crazed husband because the husband has followed your wife from this hotel back to the Vi's Prize Pies and Diner. Like, why are you keeping this from Hollywood? I don't understand. So she goes over to this lady's spot in this hotel, and Paula J. Parker is a good actress, and she is, she is playing like this nervous, distraught. My son, he got the phone and he tried to text his daddy, and I'm so afraid he gonna find out where we at. And Li's like, calm down. Let me just look. And she said, oh, honey, the text didn't even go through. She said, thank goodness for the hotel crappy Wi-Fi. And she calms her down, because, she a nervous wreck, right? She said, my son, I just don't know. I think he's going to try to call his daddy, just like super, super defeated, super, like cowering, like just zero confidence, zero, she just doesn't have any esteem at all. She wants Aunt Vi to talk to the son. So Aunt Vi calls the son over and talks to the son and says, you know why mommy left daddy, right? And he says, because daddy gets angry sometimes. I'm like, daddy get angry sometimes, and then what else? Huh? He mollywop your mama. He beat your mama, and you scared. Like, I don't understand what is we doing? It's important to just be honest and to be clear because children already know. They just don't know how to sort out what it is that they know. Plus, they willful. If you don't make it very clear what's going on, then they gonna do what they want to do. He gonna find a way to call his daddy. Well, that day was his daddy's birthday. So he said, you can't call your daddy right now. You can't call him, you can't text him, you can't do any of that. You understand me? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I feel like we could have just had a little bit more talk about it, but whatever. Then he wants Aunt Vi to stay for dinner. They so lonely and they scared, and Aunt Vi want him to stay. She want him to stay, and she wants her to see this through and get away from this guy. Um, and she just feels like keeping her shut up in that hotel and maybe not sitting with her for a little while and just trying to make them feel more comfortable. Maybe it's going to end up with them either going back and being hurt real bad, or it's going to end up with the son feeling like he ain't got nobody and it's just them and no one comes to visit. I'm going to call my dad no matter what. So she's trying to fix that situation. Meanwhile, Hollywood is totally waiting on her to come and be by his side during this interview. When she gets home later on, she said, I went by the spot, but they said you had just left. He was like, yeah, I went by the diner, but it was dark. And he's sitting on the sofa and he drinking dark liquor. He don't never look at her. He just looking right at the TV. He was like, oh, no big deal, bye. And she was like, well, how did it go? He was like, oh, it was real good. It was real good. I did better than I thought. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about what's to come. And she's like, he says, I guess I didn't need my lucky charm after all. And she looking and hit him all scared. I was like, yeah. Your man know you're lying. Your man know you're dipping and diving. And your man sick of all that bitterness and that venom that you keep spewing at everybody. This right here is getting old, Vi. It's getting real old. Nova also met this dude in her complex quad. His sister Loretta already lived there. He's new to the neighborhood. He's a professor at Nova's alma mater. And he comes over. His name is Dominic. He comes over after their first meeting. He brings her a dish over. Evidently, she left a pie on his doorstep. Like, first of all, who's leaving pies on doorsteps? Who doing that? That's cats, dog. Like, don't leave food on people's doorsteps. Don't do that. Don't order food and have it left on your doorstep. If you're not home to receive it, you don't need it to be left on your doorstep. Put a chair outside. I don't know what to tell you, but don't put it on the ground. Don't ever put food on the ground. Anyway, he comes over and she was like, thank you so much for bringing me something to eat, like this kindness. And it's in thanking her for the pie. He's bringing a veggie casserole. I needed some kindness. And he was like, well, what's going on? And she was like, yeah, she tells him about the cancel culture, and she just kind of feels like things are off for her right now, and she just doesn't know how to get back to center. But she feels like the activism is her purpose, and he tells her to take care of herself and get some rest, because we need you. We need you in the fight. I was a little surprised that Nova didn't invite him in for a little, bump and grind, because y'all know Nova is a free spirit, and she loves everybody via her vagina. But she didn't. I'm just tripping about how scary Nova is right now. It's odd. Anywho. Yeah, so this last scene is peculiar. Ra is supposed to go and get Darla's pills from the pharmacy. Now, I don't know if the pharmacy is in the hospital, but we see him walk in this hospital room and he doesn't have a mask on. And he sees this empty bed. Obviously, he's looking for Prosper, and tears well up in his eyes, and he gets super emotional because it's like Prosper isn't here. Prosper must be dead. We see Prosper walk out of the bathroom with his hospital gown, and he's hooked up to a machine, and he's got, the pole. You have to take the whole IV bag and stuff into the bathroom with you. It's the worst. It's the worst. And he comes out and he looks at Prosper. Prosper's like, "What's wrong with you?" Because his eyes, tears are welling up. And he was like, and Prosper looks at the empty bed and looks at him and he was like, "Oh, you thought I was gone." He was like, "Yeah, I just came to show you a picture. I told you I'd show you first. You talked about the picture. You kept a Billy in your wallet. Here's the picture. We having a little girl." He was like, "Oh, how nice, how nice." Prosper don't have a mask on either. And Prosper sit on the bed and they have this really heartfelt conversation. I don't remember what the conversation was about, but I remember thinking Prosper's dead. Prosper's got to be dead. Either Prosper is dead and Ralph Angel is having all of this um in a dream, or Ralph Angel is having this all of this in a dream, right? Like, this is a moment that Ralph Angel is having in his spirit either way. Either it's this phantom scene because that Ralph Angel always wanted to have with Prosper, that he intended on having with Prosper but couldn't because Prosper has passed on, or it's Ralph Angel is dreaming that he's having this conversation with Prosper. But for them to both be sitting in this hospital room without a mask on, Ralph Angel just came off the street. Prosper doesn't have his head bound up at all. He hit his head so hard that the blood was pooling outside of his, around his head and body, right? And shoulders. He doesn't have any bandages on his head at all. One of the things that happens to you when you smash your head is your eyes, around your eyes and your facial area gets dark and sullen. Prosper looks fine. I don't think Prosper was living. I just don't. I think it was a Prosper dream. You guys tell me what you think. The episode ended with that. Is it me or does it feel disconnected, you guys? Does it feel disconnected? Does the conversations, these little mealy mouth conversations that Ralph Angel is having with Darla about home birth and all of this stuff, it seems weird. It seems like it all seems like a dream. It all seems like a dream, honestly. Charlie running, whatever the heck is going on with Micah, Nova being scared, and it seems like that's Nova's psyche. Ain't Vi being belligerent and mean spirited. We did see where Nova goes over and talks to Billy and tells her Aunt Vi's earned her place in Prosper's life, earned her place to see Prosper. And you owe me. We're going to see a little bit more about Billy and her ways and what she owe Nova next week. But it all just seems like a dream. It doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem real. You guys tell me what you think. Y'all put it down below. That scene with Ralph Angel and Prosper, I was like, either Prosper dreaming out of his coma or Ralph Angel is daydreaming. I don't know. Maybe Ralph Angel is something happened to Ralph Angel. And they both inside the spirit world talking like, what is going on? Oh my gosh, I feel crazy. But y'all tell me what y'all think. Put it down below, you guys. And until next time, honeybees, mwah, mwah, mwah. I'll holla.